Hey, financially savvy travelers, welcome back to another episode of the Thought Card podcast. You may not expect me to say this, but I have thoughts about the best time to visit New York City. Some of you may know I am a born and raised New Yorker who has since moved away from the city, but I do get to visit often, have family, have friends there still. And I have thoughts on the best time to visit New York City, especially if you're looking for cost savings and added value. So in today's episode, we're going to talk about why winter is low-key my favorite, and I think personally the best time to visit New York City and why. Welcome to the Thought Card, a podcast about travel and money, where planning, saving, and creativity leads to affording travel, building wealth, and paying off debt. We are the financially savvy travelers. So when you search the best time to visit New York City, you'll hear a lot of answers like, well, anytime is the best time to visit, or spring and summer and fall, for a multitude of reasons. And all of those answers are correct. However, if you are looking for the most affordable time to visit the city, you can expect the most savings in the winter, from January to February. Although each season brings its own advantages and, I'm going to say, disadvantages, bargain hunting, financially savvy travelers, just like you, are typically looking for the best deals, perhaps less crowds, and wildly fun adventures. And that's why I believe that you should be booking a winter trip to New York City. So why visit New York City specifically in the winter? So before we even jump into that, I do want to preface this by sharing that the winter months, at least in my definition, are going to be January to February. We know that winter, is longer and a little bit before, but I feel like the most savings time is definitely January to February. So for this conversation, we're limiting it to January and February. And these 2 months in particular are considered New York City's off-peak travel season. So while technically winter includes December and March, we're not going to do that here because December is typically the most expensive time to visit New York City because of the holidays. It's also very crowded because of the festivities. And on my blog, thoughtcard.com, I have an entire series of articles all about how to maximize your time and enjoy New York City during the Christmas holiday season. But for fewer crowds, I definitely think that January, February is your best bet, okay? Because you're coming off of that high peak travel season from December holidays, where there are millions of people from all over the world flock to New York City to see the Christmas tree, the Rockefeller tree, enjoy the Christmas markets and the holiday festivities, all of those things. That is a lot less in January. The crowds are thinning, as many people actually prefer to stay home because it's so cold. It's so cold in winter in New York City. So the thing is that for those brave souls who go out there in the cold, who don't mind the frigid temperatures, the winter season promises fewer crowds, which means that you can expect shorter lines at these iconic landmarks that a lot of us want to go to and attractions. And with those short wait times means that you actually get to fit in more things in your day, right? You're not standing on long lines. You're actually going out there exploring and doing the thing. Plus, you have a lot more breathing room in the subways, if that's your mode of transportation, which I know for me personally is so much more appreciated. While the city will never be empty, it will feel like you have more of it to yourself, which I know we all can appreciate. In the winter months, again, January to February for this conversation, you also have less demand, which typically brings prices down for hotel stays and flights. So airlines and hotels are typically struggling to reach capacity at that time. So they are more willing to slash prices and offer deep discounts. In winter, you can easily score a cheap New York City vacation without a lot of fuss and research and time spent travel hacking. In January, I regularly can find $150 a night hotel stays in Midtown Manhattan. Every year, like clockwork, these prices come down. And that is so refreshing to know that I can go to such a huge, iconic city and not necessarily go broke trying to have an incredible vacation. I will say that around Valentine's Day, you are going to see prices creeping up there because, romance and, a lot of couples want to go out and celebrate. So don't be surprised if those deals start creeping up and there are fewer of them around Valentine's Day. Now, here's why this is so important and so critical, okay? Because for my birthday last year, we were like, we want to go and spend, just me and the hubby, go to New York City, spend the weekend, get a hotel, and we don't have to worry about trading it back and forth, back and forth. Cool. I go to a list of my favorite hotels in the city. I look up the prices, and to my shock, it was $600, close to $600 a night in September. Okay. For the same hotel that if you go in January or February, it is $150 for the night. Huge, huge, huge difference there. So if you again are looking at, okay, I want to get the most bang for my buck here, then coming to New York City in the wintertime makes a lot of financial sense. But again, I'm not going to lie, it is cold. It is so cold. I went to the city a couple weeks ago and it was like 15 degrees Fahrenheit. It was 15 degrees. And then with the wind chill, it felt like 10. Okay. So I was so cold despite wearing multiple layers, bundled from head to toe. It was freezing. But if you can get over that, if you can get over the cold, there's just so much that the city offers, okay? Another thing that I think that's really special about visiting New York City, specifically in the winter months, is that there are annual events that are only happening in the wintertime. So the New York City Tourism Office incentivizes tourists to visit during this off-peak season by partnering with thousands of businesses across all 5 boroughs during the slower months to boost business and traffic. This citywide annual program is called NYC Winter Outing and has been encouraging locals and tourists to get outside and adventure from January to February since 2011. Okay, so this is awesome to see that the New York City Tourism Office is heading this initiative and they've been so successful all of these years. And let's break down what is offered during this time. So you have one Broadway week, typically January to February. Although it's called Broadway week, it's actually a lot longer than a week. It's about 3 weeks long. This is a biannual event. In late January, theater goers can take advantage of savings by purchasing 2-for-1 tickets to over 25 different shows. So whether you want to see iconic shows like The Lion King or a new arrival, you can visit the New York City Tourism Office website and get their promo code and snag that discount, which is so awesome. Now, when you are preparing for your trip to New York City, you want to build a wish list, right? You want to build a list of shows that you want to see ahead of time, so that when the program is announced, when Broadway week is announced, you don't have to be fumbling around and trying to figure out what is out. So that's a great way for you to, again, because spots are limited, coupon codes are limited, you want to be able to take advantage of it while you're here and while you're visiting. So do that bit of prep work, that research ahead of time. So then again, when Broadway week comes out, all you have to do is get that promo code and get your tickets. Okay. When it comes to also saving money on your Broadway tickets, you can save on ticketing fees by going in person to the box office and or the TKTS booths in Times Square. So there are lots of ways for you to save on these Broadway shows, especially during the winter months. Then you have Restaurant Week. So Restaurant Week offers prefix 2-course menus, sometimes even 3-course menus at more than 500 restaurants citywide, where you can have an amazing dining experience for $30, $40, and $60. Now, New York City, we know, can be very pricey when it comes to eating great quality food. So being able to have multiple courses, I think, is a great reason to come, especially if you are a foodie. And I love that this is happening all across all 5 boroughs, from Manhattan to the Bronx to Brooklyn to Queens. All 5 boroughs are participating in Restaurant Week. So definitely check them out. Another great opportunity is NYC Must See Week. Yes. This is where you can enjoy 2-for-1 tickets to museums, attractions, tours, and performing art locales all across the city. So this can be a really, really great time to visit and save on attractions like the Empire State Building Observatory, the Museum of Modern Art, and so many more. And the list continues with NYC Hotel Week. This is where you can enjoy 25% off standard retail rates at more than 140 hotels through February. There are lots of participating hotels, for example, like the Lotte New York Palace or the New York Marriott Marquise, and so many more. So if you're looking for something more central, you might want to stay in a midtown location, or you may want to, go venture off into Brooklyn, for example. So again, there's just so many interesting and just like opportunities to save money, but still have an amazing quality experience here while you're in the city, specifically in January and February. I also just want to shout out some awesome events happening January, February as well. So you have Lunar New Year, you have the Westminster Dog Show, and you also have New York Fashion Week. These are all big events that are happening in the city. So again, you could go and hit those up and also just explore as well. So let's talk about the downside, because I kind of talked a little bit about the frigid temperatures, because let's be real, it is really cold. So let's talk about it. So New York City, again, is less popular in the winter time, and that's why we're seeing a lot of discounts and offers and incentives to come out, right? But with that, the weather is unpredictable. So that could be like snowstorms, there's icy conditions and cold fronts. And with that unpredictability can come disruptions. So you may have the best intentions to do certain things, but perhaps there's a huge blizzard during your stay and it just derails your entire travel plans here. Or you may be caught in delays, right? So whether that's train delays, the subway delays, maybe that's flooding, or maybe that's airplane delays to actually get into the city. So in the winter months, it could be really tough because you don't have that predictability when it comes to your weather. But to get ahead of this, I always recommend to check the weather forecast ahead of time and to allocate more time to navigating the city if need be. Because again, it could rain, it could hail, it could snow, or it could do all of the above. And the wind chill, a lot of time it's the wind chill that makes it feel so much colder, especially when you're near the water or when you're sandwiched between tall buildings. So that means bundle up. You want to be wearing thermal tops and bottoms. You want to be wearing waterproof insulated gloves, touchscreen access, earmuffs, socks, a warm, heavy coat, waterproof shoes with grips on them, all the things. You want to be prepared when you're out there. Don't also forget your tissues, your soft tissues for your skin and your face, just in case you have a runny nose or, you get some tears in your eyes from all the wind, and also your chapstick and your lip balm as well to keep yourself, and lotion as well, to keep yourself moisturized and just, again, hydrated. Lastly, another downside I want to mention about coming in the winter in particular is that there's typically less daylight. So right now it's February 7th at the time of this recording, and sunset is around 5:30. And we're just yay, it's getting, the sun is setting later. We have more daylight. But January, 4:30, that's a good sunset time. And that means that there is limited time to explore the city. So if you're looking to do a light dependent activity where you're going to be outside and you need daylight, you definitely want to plan for that. And you have typically less time in the winter months than you do have in the summer months. Okay, so with all of that, my final thoughts is New York City is a fantastic destination to visit, specifically in the winter time. If you are a budget conscious traveler, if you are a financially savvy traveler who is looking to get the most value out of their trip, then the winter time offers the most opportunity to maximize every single dollar that you're spending, whether you're saving on hotels, whether you're saving on foods when you're going after restaurants on the restaurant week list, whether you want to see iconic Broadway shows, or you are participating in the must-see week activities where you are saving at these observatories and museums and attractions. Like, all of this paints a wonderful picture as to why this is the best time to come. A lot of things are discounted. Not a lot of travelers are coming during this time. So the city wants you to come. The city wants you to explore, and they're willing to sweeten up the offer by offering these deep discounts. So to experience the best that New York City has to offer, don't hesitate to visit during the winter months, despite the cold weather. You are going to have an amazing time. And guess what? You can funnel all of those amazing savings into something incredible, whether it's an additional trip to New York City or something special. You may want to splurge, whatever that is, you're going to take all those savings and do something else with it, which I, for one, get so excited about. And I know that you will too. So let me know if you come to New York City in the winter time. If there is a specific reason as to why you like visiting in the winter, January, February, let me know in the comments. And if you're just like, you know what, Danielle, that sounds cool and great, but I'm not going to be cold out there with y'all, that is okay too. Love to hear what you have to say. And with that, I look forward to seeing all of your comments below. All right, so I'm looking ahead and sharing with you that the next episode is going to be one that has been highly requested. It's all on how to plan a trip from start to finish. I'm going to break down my entire process for you all. So make sure that you are following the podcast, whether on Apple, Spotify, any other podcast players, as well as on YouTube. So that's to come. Can't wait. I'll see you then.